Go ahead and activate the recording. I don't know you did or not. Oh, it's already there. Okay. Yeah. Now we're just waiting for Mataji to come.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Mataji wanted the Zoom link and the Prema Padmani Mataji's class today. So I think the moment she joins,
Okay.
we're
Yeah,
just waiting.
the recording started and I shared.
Yeah, I think Mataji also joined. I can see Mataji. ISKCON Koramangala.
Puja
I have
Mataji
come. Sorry.
is the host
Hare
now.
Krishna.
So, yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Madanat Pranam to you. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. So today on Everyday Chant Harinam conference call, we have Prema Padmani Mataji from Bangalore, India. And we'll be studying Srimad Bhagvatam 7.8.33. So Mataji, please take over.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Jnanatimrindasya Gyanjanashalakya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Srimati Jayapataka Swaminate Namne Nama Acharyapadaya Natai Kripa Pradayani Gorakata Dhamdaya Nagar Gram Tarani Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminate Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharne Nirvisesh Shanyavadi Paschat Deshtarne Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 7 Chapter 8 Text 33. In the matter of the Lord slays the king of the demons. Dyaustat Satot Kshipta Vimana Sankula Protsarpatha Kshama Cha Padha Pidita Shaila Samutpetur Amushyaram Hasa Tattejasakam Kakubona Rejire. Airplanes were thrown into outer space and the upper planetary system by the hair on Narsimadeva's head. Because of the pressure of the Lord's lotus feet, the earth appeared to slip from its position, and all the hills and mountains sprang up due to his intolerable force. Because of the Lord's bodily effulgence, both the sky and all directions diminished in their natural illumination. Purport. That there were airplanes flying in the sky long ago can be understood from this verse. Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken 5,000 years ago, and the statements of this verse prove that symptoms of a very advanced civilization then existed, even in the upper planetary systems, as well as in the lower planetary systems, modern scientists and philosophers foolishly explain that there was no civilization prior to 3000 years ago. But the statement of this verse nullifies such whimsical judgments. The Vedic civilization existed millions and millions of years ago. It existed since the creation of this universe, and it included arrangements all over the universe with all modern amenities and even more. We'll do one more verse. Tatah सभायाम् उपविष्टम् उत्तमे नृपासने संवृततेजसं विभुम् अलक्षितद्वैरथम् अत्यमर्शनं प्रचण्डवक्त्रं न बभाज कश्चन. Manifesting a full effulgence and a fearsome countenance, Lord Narasimha, being very angry and finding no contestant to face his power and opulence, then sat down in the assembly hall on the excellent throne of the king. Because of fear and obedience, no one could come forward to serve the Lord directly. When the Lord sat on the throne of Hiranyakashipu, there was no one to protest. No enemy came forward on behalf of Hiranyakashipu to fight with the Lord. This means that his supremacy was immediately accepted by the demons. Another point is that although Hiranyakashipu treated the Lord as his bitterest enemy, he was the Lord's faithful servant in Vaikunta, and therefore the Lord had no hesitation in sitting on the throne that Hiranyakashipu had so laboriously created. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura remarks in this connection that sometimes, with great care and attention, great saintly persons and rishis offer the Lord valuable seats dedicated with Vedic mantras and tantras, but still the Lord does not sit upon those thrones. Hiranyakashipu, however, had formerly been Jaya, the doorkeeper at the Vaikunta gate, and although he had fallen because of the curse of the Brahmanas and had gotten the nature of a demon, and although he had never offered anything to the Lord as Hiranyakashipu, the Lord is so affectionate to his devotee and servant that he nonetheless took pleasure in sitting on the throne that Hiranyakashipu had created. In this regard, it is to be understood that a devotee is fortunate in any condition of his life. Okay, the next few verses. Okay, it's all similar. So we'll do these two verses. So the Lord, we see the aftermath of killing Hiranyakashipu. How the Lord was still very angry after, having killed Hiranyakashipu. So this is his special pastime, and because of his excessive affection for Prahlad and, at the incorrigible nature of the demon Hiranyakashipu, who not only troubled everyone, but in particular he came because he could not tolerate how he harassed Prahlad, his dear devotee. And so that anger persisted, and airplanes were thrown into the outer space and upper planetary system by the hair on Narasimha Deva's head. So his hair was scattered. He was having this huge form, his glaring and his breathing agitated the seas and oceans. Because of his roaring, all the elephants in the world began to cry in fear. So everybody, this Narasimha Dev's anger created this kind of fear in everyone. And even the earth and the pressure of the Lord's lotus feet, because of that, the earth appeared to slip up from its position. And all the hills and mountains sprang up due to his intolerable force. And also the bodily effulgence diminished the illumination of all other bodies. Even the luminous the sky in all directions diminished. So one thing is Prabhupada is saying that airplanes is not a recent discovery. It was always there. First of all, in the spiritual world, we have descriptions of Vaikunta where all the people are flying in their beautiful airplanes with their consorts and so on. And then the reflection of the spiritual world is in the material world from the very beginning. In all the heavenly planets, they have interplanetary travel, and even in the lower planets, because that is called Bila Swarga, which is similar to the upper planetary systems and all facilities for enjoyment. Only thing is, they are in total ignorance because of the complete darkness and also um, lack of knowledge about God or devotion to God. So they are in the totally mode of passion and ignorance. But otherwise, they're given all facilities for enjoyment. And so because of this, so naturally it is whatever we discover is only because it's already existing. It's not that the scientists came up with something very special, on their own. Everything is already existing. Whatever conceptions we have, whatever imaginations we have, is based on something which is already existing. So, and they normally maximum they think is 3000 years they'll stretch their imagination. That is the beginning of creation. Imagine such a complex universe came about in a big bang just last 3000 years. So, and maximum some of the it's very funny to hear people speculate, even big spiritual leaders, gurus and all that, they'll say 15,000 years, this existed there then and all that. On what basis we don't know. And they say this because nobody knows. No, so nobody is there to refute, and they cannot actually. I mean, these things cannot be determined on the base. I mean, you cannot date it. Something under the ground, the archaeologists can date it, but something about knowledge and what happened and so on, it's just speculation. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is all recorded, and it was recorded 5,000 years ago. So minimum is 5,000. But these airplanes, I mean, this happened in Satya Yuga. And so we know how many billions of years ago there were airplanes. So they normally act as if India was very uncivilized. And from the West came all this knowledge, technological knowledge. Of course, technology first came to the West. There's no doubt about that. But technology is considered very inferior. These airplanes were powered by mantras, which is very, very subtle. And they don't require all this. You don't need fuel to run it. And there is no question of crashing or bumping against other planes or a failure. Because when you chant mantras, it's automatically powered and reaches its proper destination and so on. So subtle sciences are superior, and we don't know whether, and there were interplanetary travel mentioned in other ages from the earth. We know that Katvanga Maharaj, he went and fought for the Devatas, for their wars and all. So earlier yugas, there was interplanetary travel. Naturally, there has to be airplanes, unless the Devatas came and picked up and went the human being, took them there. But of course, during Ramayana time, there is nothing, no mention of airplane. No, we have Pushpak Viman, Rama also coming from Lanka to Ayodhya, and also in Kardama Muni and Devahuti's time, they were in the Satya Yuga, and he created an aerial mansion which was flying all over the universe. So even in recorded history of the earth, there has been all these flights, and not just within the earth only, but then interplanetary travel. So of a very, very, very advanced civilization which we cannot even conceive. slowly the West is opening its eyes, waking up to the truths about India. They also knew, I mean, earlier they didn't want India to become independent because they knew they didn't want, they wanted them to be under their control, and they wanted all the material things. They take the raw materials and very good market. So they purposely took away all our knowledge, Vedas, and then I don't know how many of the things are stolen from that, whatever so-called discoveries they've made. So the Vedic civilization existed millions and millions of years ago, and they are talking that coming from monkeys just a few thousand years ago. So imagine how much ignorance is still there, and the Srimad Bhagavatam can throw light on all this. If Bhagavatam is prescribed in the universities, as it is in a few American universities because of Prabhupada's books, and they are using it, then if everyone is made to study, it's not only the students of philosophy, but if they read this, then just imagine how they will start exploring more knowledge, and they can think about um, other methods of achieving knowledge, not only to the deductive method, but um, inductive method of getting it from the scriptures. And that'll completely change the perception. And here Lord Narasimha, he sat on the throne of Hiranyakashipu. So we can see that the Lord is very choosy of what he accepts. He doesn't need to accept anyone, everything belongs to him. But what he's looking for only is devotion. The only reason he expanded himself into so many forms, Swamsa and Vilasa forms, his own expansions, and then that is Vishnu Tattva, and also Jiva Tattvas, Vibhinnamsha forms, is only to exchange love, for no other purpose. And so, even though he himself can, everything is coming from him. So he doesn't need anyone actually for anything because the entire creation has simply come from his body, and all his energies are there to set about everything in action. He just has to think about it and everything happens. So, what is the need is totally Atmarama, fully satisfied in the Brahman, that he is spirit, soul. He's completely satisfied, even though he was all alone in the beginning. And he expanded himself first into as Radha, and then as Baladev from the right, and Radharani from the left, and then into so many forms, Vishnu Tattva forms, and all the Jiva Tattvas, only for exchanging love. Because we are all simply instruments for or energies in order to act as he dictates according to his will and his pleasure. So when we try to understand Krishna's personality, we should understand this is Sachidananda Vigraha, pure Shuddha Sattva with Satya Sankalpa. Everything about him is true. It's perfect, full of happiness, full of love. It is not in the sense that, egoistic sense in the material world, because in the material world, every position, every capability is not to be proud of. And nobody should be proud of anything that they have or do. Why? Because it's all borrowed feathers. We just pretend as if I myself did something, but we know it's all coming from Krishna. And that is why it is condemned if somebody is showing off or being very proud, because it also creates a kind of, because that's in the mode of passion. What is not true in the mode of passion, we unnecessarily claim things because we are seeing from a very external point of view in illusion. We don't see the person who created everything. or the Paramatma who's giving us all intelligence, or this whole universe which has been created by the Supreme Lord, we forget Him completely. And whatever little bit of actions that are happening, of course, the soul is also responsible for doing every work. But the more important than the soul is the super soul who's directing the soul and giving all facilities, giving all knowledge, and prompting us to do everything. So that is why it is asat. Here in the material world, everything is asat because we do not see the sat. We do not see Krishna. If we don't see Krishna, then it is Maya. That is asat. What we see is just lies or illusion. And here, so Krishna only wants to exchange love. And wherever there is Krishna, there is no Maya. So, in the material world, that's why Krishna says that everything is resting on me, but I am not in them. So, everything is resting, all this material world is resting on his material energy, on Maya Devi's Shakti. We're all connected to him indirectly now. I mean, when we're not aware of him, we are connected with him through the energy. But and he is not in the material things. He is not interested because we have no love for him. And the minute we become devotees and offer him anything, even the food we are just cooked, and we offer it to him with love, then tadaham yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham asnami prayatatmanah. Bhaktya mam. With devotion, when we offer, then he says, I do accept it. That is all. He just wants to taste the love. And then what happens? It says that wherever, even in the material world, wherever Krishna is worshipped, wherever, like in the temple, that Prabhupada says that is not material world, that is spiritual world. Because you're seeing Krishna there every you're serving Krishna there, you're using all the facilities to glorify, to serve him, to worship him. Then it becomes spiritual. So material is those things in the under the material energy, indirectly connected with Krishna, not meant to be offered with love. There is no love there. So Krishna is not interested. The only thing that way he is, I mean, he says that everything resting in me, that means we are very close to him. And yet he says, I am not there. In his spiritual form, he is not there because there is no love. And the minute, whoever it may be, and whatever simplest of material things we offer with love, then Krishna immediately is there. So, in the same mood, Hiranyakashipu, he was actually, he is Jaya, very dear to the Lord, full of devotion, and even is acting like a demon, isn't devotion, really speaking, because he didn't want to come there. And he came only because Krishna said, no, you go. He only told him to act like a demon. So, even this act of coming to the material world is a devotional service for Jaya. So the Lord, while he acted as a demon, then he treated him like a demon, and he killed him and all that, and he displayed great anger. But then, after killing him, he remembered that actually this is Jaya. And so he felt very close and comfortable to sit on his throne, occupied all the time by Hiranyakashipu. So polluted it is. Who will sit there? I mean, it's not worthy of being offered to the Lord. But the Lord changed the whole thing by remembering him as Jaya. So, and here, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura remarks in this connection that sometimes, with great care and attention, great saintly persons and rishis offer the Lord valuable seats dedicated with Vedic mantras and tantras, but still the Lord does not sit upon those thrones. Why? Because there is a little, I mean, rishis and saintly persons, anybody who is on the spiritual path trying to realize their self can be a rishi, called a rishi. He can be an impulseless rishi, or he can be a yogi, and so on. But if they don't have this devotion to the Lord, then the Lord is not inclined, whereas to accept it. Whereas even his devotee offers some very, very, very simple things, then the Lord immediately accepts. So we know from the different pastimes how you know that bhakti is the only thing which you know which makes the Lord be subservient to the will of the devotee. And now Kartik month is fast approaching, and we know that we're trying to cultivate bhakti in that month. 100 times, whatever we do, we get the results, and we have to do everything in a more devotional way so that Krishna can be controlled through that love. What to speak of just accepting? We learn in the Kartik month, just like Mother Yashoda could control the Supreme Lord through her intense love, so much so that she was so very mindful of Krishna's benefit. She was not even afraid of scolding him, binding him, trying to beat him with a stick, and so on. So that is what the Lord really relishes. So, I mean, we have to understand the personality of the Lord. Most people don't know who is God and also what is his personality. But the more we hear the pastimes, then we can understand that Krishna's personality, what kind of a person he is, how we should relate with him, and what really moves him, and how we can become qualified to go back to him. Because otherwise, if we don't try to analyze and understand his personality, most people, because of not knowing the personality of Krishna, they are only thinking of, okay, maybe I'm very attached to this material world, so I'll become detached. They're mostly thinking of spiritual life as detachment from this thing. Okay, I'll give up everything. But what can we really give up? We can't give up. It's very difficult to give up everything. We have the body, at least. We have the body, even if you gave up everything and sat in a mountain cave, you still have your body and mind. How much can you give up? Ultimately, the body is there. As long as the body and mind is there, we cannot really give up everything. There is no need to give up. The fact is, we have to understand that everything belongs to the Lord, and so I must use it, everything, in the service of the Lord. Then there is no need to give up anything. And when will we use it in His service? Only when there is an affection, when there is a feeling of some kind of, possessiveness, that Krishna belongs to me. Just like loving parents will use all the whatever, I mean, for their children, they spend, or they spend their time, they spend their money and efforts and everything for the sake of their children. Why? Why would they do that unless there is some affection and a feeling of belonging? So, the same thing, we have to feel a sense of belonging towards Krishna, and we have to develop some affection for him. Then, what is the difficulty in using everything for Krishna's service? Because everything belongs to him. He is only supplying. And as long as you have a loving relationship with him, where is the question of, something supply stopping? Supply will stop only when there is a lack of relationship. Otherwise, he is the eternal provider for his devotees. And so the devotees are unafraid. They don't try to hoard. They don't try to think that, oh, what will happen tomorrow? That fear is not there when you have a feeling of affection for Krishna, and you know that he loves you. He's always there. He's only providing you. And so the most important thing that we need to cultivate is only affection for the Lord, bhakti. And if you're using everything in the service of Krishna, then Krishna will give more and more, because Lakshmi Devi also is very happy you're using everything in the service of the Lord, and then there will be unlimited supply and maybe increase, ever expanding supply. So what really we need to you know uh, uh, purify our consciousness and be aware of this fact that everything belongs to Krishna, everything is coming from Krishna. And I have to be completely dependent on the Lord. The more that we depend on Him, then we will be free from all these kinds of I, me, mine, possessiveness, everything. We just leave everything to Krishna in a very practical way. The problem is that we don't have so much faith. How do I trust? I don't see Krishna, and I don't see it happening like that. All material things I can see. I work, and then the money goes into the bank, and it's all there. And whenever I want, I can withdraw. It's all there. A kind of security we feel through the material nature. Of course, that's also valid. We should do it, but we should know that that facility is also given by Krishna only. Prabhupada kept saying this. Is that don't think that you are maintaining yourself or your job or your bank balance or your wealth, your inheritance. This is the what is maintaining you. Actually, only Krishna is maintaining you. That is the fact. That is the absolute truth. And Krishna will reveal this more and more to us when we surrender to Him and want to have a good relationship with Him. Then He is always there. He tells, is always what, giving this hope and this confidence and fearlessness to His devotee. Do not be afraid of anything. This is what we need to have, because otherwise, this whole material world is very fearful. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Suddenly, war erupted in two parts of the world. It's very frightening how the war is going on there, and the Middle East also is like in big turmoil now. So, how do you know what's going to happen tomorrow? We don't know. It's always there is danger at every step and most unpredictable. And the only certainty we have is that yes, Krishna is there, and somehow He is the one who is going to take care of me, of my family, of my successive generations. I mean, descendants. People are very also, like materialistic people. When you tell them, please come for our programs and all that, at least the spouses reveal their mentality of their spouse. Devotees reveal, especially, I mean, it could be either way. So when Mataji was saying, I, she tries to sneak in and come, but her husband is not ready to come. And he says, see, you are just wasting your time. You're doing more and more. You're getting too involved. What's the point of all that? We have to utilize the time very wisely and earn as much as possible and keep enough money for our descendants. So this is their program. And because they cannot see anything beyond the material world. And only when we chant Hare Krishna mantra and we try to serve Krishna and try to connect with Him, then slowly He reveals, yes, I am there. I am there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many times when the devotees, they felt great separation from Him, when he took sannyas, for example, and his mother, and so many of all the devotees in Navadvip, they're feeling great anxiety and misery when he was going to leave them. Then he said, don't worry, I'm always with you, and I've also incarnated in two forms. Apart from myself, I've come, there are two more incarnations of me, and one is the deity form, and the other is the Hare Krishna mantra. So you have these two things. So where will you lose my company? So he was trying to, and anyway, he said, I will never leave you all. You are all my eternal associates. You don't worry about it. So he was trying to reassure them. So the fact is that we have, I mean, um, the Lord has appeared in all these forms, I mean, holy name and the deity form, only to reconnect with us. And only in the interim, when we are not yet sure about our connection, that is when fear appears. And that is illusion. We should be completely fearless because we are never without the Lord. Always we have Krishna as a Paramatma. Always. Wherever we may be, Paramatma is always there. And we just need to take shelter of him at all times. And he's all powerful. He can do anything. He's in every atom. He's in the heart of every devotee. So that is why Prabhupada said, you don't have to worry about anything in this world. The only thing you need to do is work on this relationship, cleanse your heart, and connect with Krishna, and everything around you will become perfect. Right? That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that by chanting Hare Krishna, golden age will come. How will it come? By a purification of consciousness. When more and more we dedicate things, when we learn about Krishna, when we understand his personality and how he wants, he's only greedy for affection from us. And that's the most difficult thing to give, isn't it? Because in Maya, illusion, we think that we are these bodies and minds, and we are so much interested in the external world. We have no taste to meditate on Krishna, to hear more and more about us, or meditate on his pastimes and on his qualities. We should, I mean, that ruchi, that taste has to come. And that comes only after Anartha Nivritti, that stage. We have Ado Shraddha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. No, first is Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, then it has to be Anartha Nivritti. All the dirty things in our heart has to go. And what are the dirty things? The main thing is to identify ourselves with this body and mind and this material world. I'm a product of this material world, and I am this body and this mind. That creates all the other things, all the other misconceptions in the mind is only because of this one wrong misidentification, anartha, unwanted, and which is all external to our reality. The truth, Atma, is doesn't need, I mean, all these misconceptions are external, anartha. Artha is real, and anartha means unreal. So the real artha is the soul, the spiritual, um, I mean, a spiritual existence and the knowledge about spiritual world and seeing everything in a spiritual light. And opposite of that is ignorance, where we have no clue about spiritual life or anything spiritual. We are only seeing material. That's complete ignorance. And so this anartha is to awaken our spiritual self and to come out of all these misconceptions of material identification. After that only we'll become we'll come to the level of nishta, means we are fixed, we'll never give up devotional activities wherever we may be. Even if people say, please go to sleep, don't do anything. No, I can't, I have to serve. So nishta. From nishta, after that, we get ruchi. Taste. Oh, I have to hear Krishna Katha. I have to read. I have to do chant. We get a taste to do all these things. So after that only we get Shakti, attraction to the Lord. So these are going on in stages, and there's a lot more to go. So we have to bhajana kriya stage only if we are, we are a little shaky and we sometimes do this, sometimes not. Then how the anarthas will come out and how we'll connect with Krishna. And this is very important, not just at the time of death. Oh, yeah, yeah. I know. When I'm just about, after my retirement and all that, when I'm not, I will just concentrate more on spiritual activities and so on. So, actually, if we require this spiritual knowledge, even to exist in the material world, to exist properly and not to commit vikarmas, which are sinful activities, and not to create karmas, I mean, pious activities also by which we have to take another birth. We want to do our karma so that there is no karma. We don't want to be born again. So that requires a lot of sensitivity, a lot of awareness, a lot of consciousness to not do things mechanically and without, normally, but that means our mind has to be active. Am I doing right thing? Am I not doing right to think like that? I mean, normally we feel a little lazy. We want to be in the default mode of just auto mode, everything just happening on its own. People like routines. That's why they don't want to apply their mind for every small thing. So then they can just, enjoy even in the mind, be relaxed and think of all pleasurable things, enjoying mood. But actually, we have to, that is because that mood takes away from our service mood. The soul gets great pleasure, ananda, in being subservient to the Lord and thinking how best to serve Him, how best to please Him. And opposite of that is the enjoying mood. We forget about Krishna and think how to, squeeze out pleasure from whatever I'm doing. Even devotional activities we may be doing for my own happiness. Okay, what do I like doing? I'll do that. And what do I get from that? I may be also doing only things which give me pleasure. So that's why pure devotional service is very, 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 very uh, difficult to attain. I mean, it's a very exalted situation. And so we have to try for that. We have to keep on improving. Um, because, for example, how do you um, come out? I mean, people become depressed. Somebody says something, people are not behaving the way you want, and then you feel you don't know how to react, and it has an impact on people. They become negative. So, how do you overcome that? The I mean, sometimes it's very difficult to forgive people because they've hurt you in a very bad way, and people are not able to overcome that. And it affects them because it affects your consciousness. It puts toxins into your body because you get negative thoughts and some feeling of hatred or enmity, maybe their bitterness, all these things. How do you overcome that? And so we need to forgive and forget and always think about positive, always remain positive. How do we do that? So, in order to do that, we have to know that all activities have to be dedicated to Krishna. Am I doing everything that Krishna may be pleased? That means in the mode of goodness, at least. I don't harm people, I don't tell lies, I don't try to cheat, I don't try to compromise, I don't try to cut corners and be lazy, or I don't try to be excessively proud and think I'm, very great. All these, so many things are there. Instead, we have to do in a humble frame of mind, knowing that I'm just dependent on Krishna to do this activity, and I should do it in a nice way so that he may be satisfied. If we are constantly trying and, trying, we may keep forgetting. Again and again, we have to try. Oh, I'm thinking of my own pleasure. Let me see. What will Krishna want? And in that way, then only will we always remain positive, always be forgiving, always be compassionate and empathic. Okay, everybody can make mistakes. So, first of all, when we are under the illusion, under the three modes, it's a very dangerous situation because all the six whips of Maya, Kam, Krodh, Moh, Lobh, Mat, Mascharya, everything is there to bewilder us. Now, coming to that, now, because this is Rupini Padma Mataji told me to speak a little about Navratri and how to connect it with Vaishnava culture. So actually, Navratri is also followed by Vaishnava traditions in Sri Sampradaya and Sri Sampradaya and Madhva Sampradaya also. Um, the thing is, those who are Shaktas or those are only Devi worshippers, they worship Navratri in 9 different forms of Durga according to her different leelas. Like, when she was Mahishasura Mardini, when, she has different names. Like the very first one is Shaila. something Shaila Rupini. Anyway, different, based on her different pastimes and activities. There are 9 different forms, and they worship her. And she awards also liberation. She and Shiva are also, um, they can award liberation from this material world. But to go to Vaikunta, to go to the spiritual world, then you have to become a devotee of Krishna. Until then, you can go up to even Mahesh Dham and all that, or you may be liberated. But they also have, Shiva has got the Rudra Sampradaya where he makes everyone surrender to Krishna, and it's a Vaishnava Sampradaya. So now this Devi worship, Navratri, it's wonderful because it's a glorification of the Shaktis of the Lord, or is the feminine energies of the Lord. Krishna is the energetic, and the Devis are the energies, and who are entrusted with very, very responsible. So the first, so Devi, we know she is, in charge. First of all, this whole Dham, this whole universe is named after her, Devi Dham. And then, while the Shaktas, they worship like they do Bengalis, they do Durga Puja all the 9 days. The in some of the Vaishnava traditions, they have 3 days for dedicated for Durga, 3 days for Lakshmi, and 3 days for Saraswati. So they are just like Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. All the 3 consorts are glorified. Now, the normally the Shaktas, they only want to worship Shakti to get all material benefits from them. And Durga also gives, I mean, not only mostly people worship her for material benefits, but if they are sincere in her worship, she also elevates them, and up to liberation, she can also give all that. And so, but generally, they only go to her for this thing, and they don't want to worship with the along with Shiva, or along understanding that she is energy of Krishna. They don't want all that. On the other hand, the Vaishnava way of worshipping the Devis are along with Krishna, because he is the energetic and the other energy. So, if we see of connection of Devi with Krishna, for example, how in Jagannath Puri she is Vimla Devi, and accepting all the first, the prasada offered to Jagannath is first given to her and then distributed to everyone. So if she is only external energy, why would Krishna say like that? That first you offer my prasad to Vimala Devi and then give it to everyone. So she is also a great devotee, and it all depends on how you approach her. So in the Vaishnava tradition, we see everybody, all the Devis, as servants of Krishna. And and then in their in South India, what they do is they have these steps, and then they have the dolls. And then people come and they sing the bhajans and they give them prasad. So they have um, they also have pastimes of Ramayana, Mahabharat, and all that. They decorate the whole place. They even make, I mean, apart from the steps, then they may have so many other things decorating them. They make parks and maybe playgrounds and other things. So, basically, they want to highlight the Lord's pastimes, and there are many dolls available to display that. And it's very good because people come and sing bhajans and then you give them prasad. So if somebody's got a family tradition and you have the dolls, then it's very nice because we have our altar. Next to that, we can put these steps also and ask people to come. It's a good outreach because otherwise they won't come to our house for program. But for Golu, they will come. And in Karnataka also, they do that. But in Andhra, they don't do that. So each state has its own variations. And of course, we know Gujarati, they do Gujarat, they have Garba dance. And Bengal, they have Durga Puja mandaps. They create for 10 days, they worship Durga. So it's different thing, but it's a celebration of, I mean, we must include, of course, Krishna also. Then it makes sense. They are also very happy because Durga Devi, if you approach her to please help me in my, devotion to Krishna, like the gopis prayed to Katyayani, and she actually came and then she, fulfilled their desire. Yes, very soon Krishna will be your husband, and so on. And Lakshmi also is a consort of Narayana. So, if we actually, the mercy of the Halladini Shakti, or they're all expansions of Srimati Radharani, and Saraswati is the goddess of learning. So, it's a very good opportunity to be grateful and thankful to them and to beg them for bhakti. And then they are very merciful and they'll help us. So, even as Vaishnavas, it's a good preaching medium. If you are having in the house the tradition, or you can just call them, I want to give you some, Navratri, they always give some, also, I mean, some prasad, and then some people also give some gifts, or along with fruits and coconuts and all that. So, it's very, I mean, you can treat it like an outreach. And otherwise, we already have so many traditions and festivals. We don't have to include another one, but you already are doing that. It's a good way to um, invite people. So, socially, also, it's an opportunity to call people whom you normally may not have any reason to call them. And we can sing also, and they make them sing bhajans, and we can sing Hare Krishna with them and give them prasadam. So, that way, it's nice. And the feminine aspect, just like among all the, we are always worshipping the Lord, but the Lord is very pleased when we worship his consort, like Radharani. If we worship Radharani, Krishna is more pleased. So, like that, the Devis, for their, it's nice to worship them and pray to them. This Navratri is a glorification. We can see how our Sanatan Dharma is so varied, and it acknowledges the Lord in his different features, all his energies, his expansions, and his devotees. Everybody is glorified. So it's supposed to invoke more piety to us, give us a lot of spiritual credits. It can, I mean, it's meant for that, so that we wake up from our material conditioning to doing some seva, to think about the Lord, and in this way become uplifted. Yeah, is that okay, Rupini Padma? Aditi?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you so much for adding the last part. We can invite definitely on such occasions, because sometimes, we are labeled as only doing Krishna Bhakti. So when on other occasions, people will also be happy because they have this faith since they were like very young.
Mm,
So like some people, we hear them say, no, like, no, we cannot lead the way of worship of devtas and all, because that's something which we've been doing much before we came across Hare Krishna devotees. So that
mm.
sentiment they carry, and then we respect that, and we simply say, no, you continue with that, whatever you're doing, but then you can just like you had mentioned in your previous classes, at least you can do a little bit of chanting in a prayerful mood. That everybody needs prayers these days. We're living in a Kali Yuga with
No, the thing is, they may be worshipping only devatas, but you're going to have also your own altar will be there. And then if you have dolls of, Dashavatar and Ramayan, Mahabharat, and all that, so
yeah.
they will also be inspired by that, isn't it?
Yes, Mataji, definitely. So, Mataji, like in the verse we were reading, it said that the emphasis is on the seat of the Lord. So, I'm just thinking, like uh, Lord can sit in any seat. How is the seat connected to being, like pure or impure?
He,
Or Lord makes selection. Why does he make selection? Like, you give him a seat, he will not sit on it, or he will sit on it according. He is independent. We know that, but just can you
no,
emphasize
suppose he
that?
visits your house, okay?
Huh.
Why will he visit your house? Only because you're a devotee. He will not go to anybody's house if they are not a devotee. So
Hmm.
it belongs to you. If I come to your house, your sofa belongs to you. I cannot just come and sit there unless I'm very close to you. I mean, it's like informal, very after long, prolonged friendship and all that. Even then, when you visit somebody's house, you're standing, and only when the host says, sit down, we sit. That means we acknowledge that seat belongs to them. And they, otherwise, why we are independent? I should wait for you to tell me to sit. I can sit. No. Even the Lord, when He gives something to us, it belongs to Him only. But in the material world, I mean, this is the feeling that, okay, this is my house, this is my seat. So Hiranyakashipu, that was his throne. And so the Lord, it is just for the Leela's sake that belongs to Hiranyakashipu, right? Even though ultimately it belongs to him only. But in Leela, you know that it belongs to Hiranyakashipu. And still the Lord felt a kind of he felt um, very comfortable to go and sit on his seat. Out of affection, he can sit anywhere. He doesn't even need a seat. But this is exchange of love. Otherwise, he could have created another seat and sat down there. Why should he sit on Hiranyakashipu? Because it's impure. It belongs to a demon, isn't it?
Yes, Mataji, but it's so nice. Like, I mean, Lord is so kind that in spite of, fulfilling the desire of Prahlad Maharaj and also of the Devatas, Lord Brahma, not
Mhm.
disregarding anything, still, like he knew that he played the role, but he
Mhm.
remembered, so like, I think we can take a similar example to Putana, right? When Putana was coming with poison on her breast, he still gave her some wonderful place in Vaikuntha or something, right?
Yes, as the mother's position. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like Lord is like he will see just a small little spark of devotion he will pick up, and so that's so wonderful. The Lord we are praying to, and yes. Yeah. Thank you so much,
Actually,
Mataji, for the yeah.
no, Putana also was in the previous life, she was Maharaja Bali's sister.
Hmm.
And she was a great devotee of Krishna. It's only when she saw that her brother had surrendered to him and still, Krishna pushed him down in the Patala Loka. So she misunderstood the Lord and she became a little inimical to him. And that is why she was born as an Asura, as Putana. And so maybe the Lord remembered that aspect. She's actually my devotee. Only temporarily she had this ill feeling towards me. And that also she offered a breast milk to me. So he sort of, he knows everything, past, present, future. We don't know. So we think, oh, how come he gave for Putana? Might have also been on the same consideration, just like for Hiranyakashipu. Because only for Putana he made that special, exception. All other asuras were all killed. I mean, Putana was also killed, but her soul went to Goloka Vrindavan only for her, not the others. They went to the Brahmajyoti.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for enlightening us. If anybody has question, comment, they can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all blessed Sri Prabhupada.
Then
The
with
session
Pranam.
is class and reflecting upon the mercy of the Lord especially towards devotees, and generally to all the jivas. And yes, and also discussed about the significance of worship of Mahadevi, Mahamaya, in the context of Vaishnava philosophies, the supreme philosophy that Krishna gave for the jivas to follow, the humans to follow. Yes, it is so important to understand the Lord's mercy and the variegatedness of the consciousness of the living entities, because of which the Sanatana Dharma is the most inclusive of all the traditions, even including it includes and Prabhupada included Christians and Islamists. I mean, Mohammedans also into the Krishna consciousness. That way, actually, the whole world is under Sanatana Dharma ambit, and yes, and
But
your
Christianity is and Islam is not part of Sanatan Dharma.
yeah,
They are Abrahamic religions. Only
yeah,
all the other things. These are not
yeah.
Sanatan Dharma.
Yes, correct. I mean, but the followers, they could be made to follow.
They have to follow Sanatan
religion.
Dharma. Yes,
Yes,
we
but,
for everyone.
so
That's
what
true.
I understand is that Prabhupada said then that you do not need to give up your religion, your faith, but you try to get attachment to God in your own consciousness, that is personal relationship with God. Do you feel?
Mm,
Do you feel? I mean, you feel engaged. You feel reciprocating relationship with Him. So that
yes,
way, when they come to that level, they try to think in that level. Automatically, they have to get a form of the Lord who is who reciprocates, not like not like the stone in the Makkah or the cross in the church. So they have to have a form, so they will gravitate towards Krishna. So automatically they will purify and they will advance in their ways, because uh, even in the Christianity and Islam also, their Christianity is mostly in the mode of passion. Islam is more the mode of ignorance. So they, within their followers, those two followers,
yes,
there are
definitely.
people,
And
people who
both of them are also supposed to have got something from India only.
yes, and they have within them also there are people who are in the mode of goodness, so they have
Yes,
difficulty fitting in. Like Radhanath Swami, in the Judaic religion, he couldn't find the answers. He was looking around. Bhakti Tirth Swami also similar. So then, because these are people in the high consciousness, so they are not able to fit in, because
yes,
the faith in the practice, the faith is in the mode of passion and ignorance, respectively. So they those people will gravitate towards it. So there is a way to get in those people also. That's why I'm saying. And your anecdote of the person who is telling his wife, "Don't waste time." Yes, I mean such people abound because they do not understand that. I was thinking like um, uh, 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 Shankaracharya quote, Makuru Dhana Jana Jauvana Garvam Nimeshe Arati or something. So basically it means don't do Dhana Jana Jauvana, be puffed up with them. Because it can be by your own karma, it can be snatched up by in a whisk. What to speak of the um, the impiety or the offense that has been done by offending Vaishnavas. So they do not understand. They still think they can do it and keep on repeating I mean, for a small speck of happiness, they toil so much hard. I was actually thinking about that verse also coming to mind. That Savidvara Kharaustra. They are working like that dog. Savidvara, that is a pig. Khara, that is a donkey, and camel. They're talking very hard for little puny gain, whereas the gain with the Krishna consciousness is immeasurable.
Yeah.
Yes, it's nice to reflect because without this, many of us faith will be are always shaken, because we are in the material world, especially in the Kali Yuga, it's surrounded by so many demons. Every other person is a demon. 99% are demons. So very, very difficult for a lot of people. Very important to reflect and for us to contemplate, so that we do not get swept by the winds of Maya from Krishna's lotus feet. Very nice to hear from you, Mataji, this morning. And please, nectarian words. Please grace us with your Gita Katha in the future. We look forward to hearing from you again. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And thank you also, Chitra and Geeta. Right? In the chat, there's written Geeta. Okay. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna
Thank you,
Mataji.
Practical.
Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for fine, wonderful rendition of the class. Thank you. Very inspiring and thought-provoking, Mataji. Especially, I like the point about that we don't have, complete trust and faith in Krishna, but we will have on human beings who really are most dangerous and can't be trusted all the time. But we don't trust in the Creator who has made us completely. That's
Yes.
true. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And what pronouns?
Dana. Okay, Rukmini Padma.
Yes,
shall we
Mataji.
end
Mataji
now?
also requesting the devotees. We are in Orlando, Florida, and there's a fifth category hurricane which is coming to us by today evening, or I don't know when, afternoon. And so I'm just requesting devotees to keep Orlando human beings in your prayers, because this is like coming from Pacific and it's quite big and one of a kind and all. So it's all in the news. It's called Milton. So we have the different names, and basically it's like it's going to give a lot of rain and all that stuff. But if you can all here keep us in your prayers. So Vaishnava's prayers are very valuable. So I was thinking I'll just mention that today.
Yeah, we'll
Yes,
chant
Mataji,
3
we
times.
can.
Yeah, sure, Mataji. We will pray, and you also take care, Mataji.
We can say 3 times Hare Krishna prayers
Yes.
for Florida devotees.
Yes.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you so much, Mataji and Prabhuji. It's like, it's like it's a total different platform, and you with all the devotees and you chant, you get so much of energy than chanting alone by ourselves and praying alone. So, yeah.
Stay safe and endure, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, we are like,
Yeah.
we don't know. There was a previous one that came, it's quite wiped out a lot of things, and it just takes away everything. And I was actually remembering Srila Prabhupada, like Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, one of them, Adhyatmik, one of them is the one who, we are troubled by the hurricanes, volcano and all that. I think the second is
Adi
we are,
Bhautik.
by the living entities, right? Like Corona is an example. And the third was a mind, right? We get disturbed by our
Yeah,
own mind,
Adhyatmik. Yeah, body and mind.
body and mind. So yeah, Prabhupada has already given us that and we know it. But still we have to, keep in mind that take the necessary precaution, because most
Yeah,
important is
next
our...
precaution and pray also.
Yes.
And who knows, suppose it gets, it can be blown off course also
Yes,
by
Mataji.
Lord's mercy.
Yes, Mataji. So,
Thank you, Mataji, for a wonderful class.
Yeah.
It's very
Thank you.
enlightening to hear you always. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Thank you all for the prayers, and we can end the call again with a prayer. Vancha kalpatarubhascha
Kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha
Patita
patitanam
nam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
vaishnavebhyo namo
Vaishnavebhyo
namah.
Namo
And
Anand
Bhagavati
ki jai.
Vaishnav
Jai.
ki jai.
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 Prema Padmini Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada
Thank you
ki
to
jai.
all the devotees
Jai.
who joined today. Association is very valuable. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna, all devotees on the call.